Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, distinguished guests, friends, and the family of Casa Marianella. Where I am Gilbert Kadia. I'm one of the co-presidents of Casa Marianella. On behalf of the board and the staff, I have the honor to welcome you to the 16th annual benefit of Casa Marianella. Today's presentation will be a little bit different because for the very first time, we are having to do this virtually, as you know, thanks to the coronavirus that's affecting everybody. So it's going to be virtual. And to that effect, we just want to say we've prepared a rundown of great activities that will include our very famous Ed Wendler Award, a great video presentation, among other surprises that I wish that you enjoy, and spend your time with us, mingle and ask us questions, because we would like you to join us as we continue our noble mission. At this point, I would like to draw your attention to the chat window that will remain active throughout the event. We will be posting lots of information for you for your enjoyment. I would also like to plead that you keep your microphones muted when you're not talking. This just so we can hear everybody, we can have a better experience. So without further ado, I now present the co-executive director, Jennifer, who will give an update on Casa. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Long, and I'm the co-executive director of Casa Marianella. My co-director is Patty McCabe. We've worked together now for 22 years. And I want to begin by thanking the board of directors of Casa Marianella, who are our hosts tonight. The board of directors also helps make sure we fulfill our mission. They help us oversee our finances. They develop our policies. And I'm incredibly grateful to all of you who are both former and current board members for your volunteer service. In addition, it's wonderful to be here tonight. This is our annual community gathering of all the people that work at Casa, have worked at Casa in the past, former and present board members, volunteers, and donors. Thank you all so very much for being here with us tonight. I'd like to begin at the beginning. And in the beginning, there was the Interfaith Task Force for Central America. The Interfaith Task Force for Central America was a group of people from different faiths who were worried about what was happening in Central America and were trying to oppose military aid to Central America. And they thought that it would be really nice to help some people who were having to leave El Salvador and Guatemala because of the conflicts there. Enter at that point Ed Wendler and Gary Morrow, who were able to obtain the house at 821 Gunter Street that we have now worked out of for 35 consecutive years. In addition to the house at 821 Gunter, we have 8 other houses, but in all of those houses, we are doing the same work. We are welcoming people who have just arrived in this country, providing them with food and shelter, legal services, English classes, transportation services, access to healthcare and benefits, and ultimately housing, which of course is the very tricky thing here now in Austin, Texas. The lack of availability and the expense of our housing is a real challenge for us, but so far we've been able to do it. If you go to Casa Marianella's adult shelter this afternoon, you will meet people from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Angola and Cameroon and Burkina Faso and Malaysia and Russia and Honduras and Cuba. We have become a very international community, and there is such a need for houses like Casa Marianella. Unfortunately, we're one of the very few in the country. It would be great if there was something like Casa Marianella in every city in the country, but there's just this handful of us. Our closest partners are in Buffalo, New York, and Detroit, Michigan. But I'm excited to say that I have now been talking to people in Waco and New Orleans who are currently in the process of starting new shelters. And that's such an important need because so many people are in the situation that our residents are in. Well, 2020 was a weird year for all of us. I'm very happy that Casa Marianella was able to stay open. And I want to give a shout out to the whole staff of our adult shelter and Posada Esperanza for taking the risks and following the protocols that were necessary for us to be able to stay open, with a special recognition for Rose Keel and Miriam Shahada, who developed the policies and organized the testing and figured out what to do when people got sick, and now have organized vaccination clinics so that we've been able to operate safely this year. Thank you so much. We were not able to serve as many people as an agency this year as we did the year before. In 2019, we resettled 475 people, and in 2020, we resettled 313. But we did that using safety precautions and being less crowded, and we did not have to turn away anyone who had our letter of support. So I'm very thankful for that. And now it's time for us to grow again. For a couple of years now, we've been talking about building 2 new 9-bedroom houses, and the process was slowed down quite a bit. We were working with our developer friend, Anmal Mera, and during the pandemic, permitting was very slow, both because of the amount of building in Austin and just COVID itself. But something that I haven't told the board yet or Patty is that we have now gotten through permitting. We have our permits to build the houses. So hopefully a year from now, when we meet again, we will be very close to finishing our 2 new 9-bedroom houses so that we can serve a lot more people. You know, people who come to the United States border come because they believe in the fairness and the freedom that the United States provides. Unfortunately, that's not what a lot of people receive at the border, but I'm happy that when people make it as far as Casa Marianella, that we're able to provide them with freedom and fairness. And I want to thank all of you who have your part as donors, volunteers, staff members, board members in making that possible. Thank you so, so much. I'd now like to introduce Barbara Hines. Barbara Hines is one of the most well-recognized immigration attorneys in the United States. She's also the founder of the UT Immigration Clinic. And this year, Casa Marianella is proud to award the Ed Wendler Award for Outstanding Service to the Immigrant Community to the UT Immigration Clinic and Denise Gilman. And presenting that award will be Barbara Hines. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's really my pleasure to introduce this year's recipient of the Ed Wendler Award to Denise Gilman and the UT Immigration Clinic. Thank you, Casa Marianella, for this recognition. This is the second time that Casa has honored the work of the UT Immigration Clinic. For those that you don't know Denise, she is the co-director of the Immigration Clinic. She has been at the clinic since 2005. She joined me there, and now she co-directs the clinic with Alyssa Stiglich, who is the current co-director with Denise. And she too has played an instrumental role in the work and the success of the clinic. But besides Denise's work at the UT clinic, she has also had an illustrious career in human rights, in civil rights, and in immigration law. And for those of you that don't know about our clinic, it was founded in 1999, and students there handle individual cases on a pro bono basis. They are the lawyers. They work under the supervision of the clinical professors. But we also work on policy issues as well. Most recently, a report on the Hutto Family Women's Prison that exposed the abuses that many of you know go on in immigration detention settings, and the role of private prisons in perpetuating and expanding the detention of immigrants. Also the legal representation of families that have been stuck on the Mexican border as a result of Trump's policies and efforts to destroy the asylum system. The clinic also filed the first case to end family detention when Huerta was housing children in prison uniforms, living in cells. And another highlight of the clinic was our work around DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, children that came to the United States as young children and have remained here. And we developed a clinical model, legal clinics, that was actually replicated throughout the country to serve that community as well. Since 1999, we've trained over 500 law students, and Denise has been such an important and integral part of that work. She's been a mentor to so many students, which is really the most exciting, I think, and meaningful part of running the clinic. And if I were in person, of course, we would ask all our former students to stand up. Some of them are CASA employees. Some of them have been former CASA employees. Some of them have worked at CASA and then come to law school. But those that we've trained really represent the new
I
generation.
gotta send these guys some more money.
Excuse me. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Really, the students that have been trained at the clinic form the new generation of really committed immigration lawyers and lawyers that are committed to social justice. And for those of you that are in the weeds of immigration law, these students form a particular social group, former students of the UT Immigration Clinic. Denise has a unique ability to connect international human rights with US immigration law. Many of us who practice in this field simply focus on domestic immigration law, but Denise always returns to international human rights norms, setting a higher bar for us, thinking about a more just immigration system. She's an intellectual and creative scholar who continues to publish articles which expand how we and how policy makers think about asylum, detention, and human rights, and to advocate for significant policy changes. She's a fabulous and inspiring teacher. She thinks so much about pedagogy and how to be a better teacher, but at the same time is able to integrate practical legal skills and impart those to the students of the clinic. The clinic has partnered with Casa Marianella since the clinic began in 1999, and Casa has been so important to the work of the clinic in providing housing and support for clinic clients leaving detention. If you need a fixed address in order to be released by ICE, or if you need, or the immigration judge, Casa has always been willing to help. I wanted to give one example about Denise's commitment to immigrants and both the work of the clinic and of Casa. Several years ago, Denise and I went to Tenosique in the state of Tabasco in Mexico to visit an immigrant shelter. Of course, this was Denise's idea that we needed to go to Mexico and see what was going on. And that is a shelter on the route for Central Americans leaving. And we met there a Honduran teenager who was on his way to the US. All he knew was that his father was in detention, somewhere in the States, maybe in Texas. And we came back and Denise spent hours trying to locate his father. And she did, with the tenacity that she applies to all of her work. She sent a student down there to meet him. Another clinic student did his bond. He was released to Casa. He's still at Casa, and other students won his asylum case, and the clinic, with the help of Casa, of course, is in the process of bringing the rest of his family to the United States. And to me, that's an example of the symbiotic relationship of the UT Immigration Clinic and Casa Marianella. And in conclusion, I can't think of a more appropriate award to my partner in crime for her tireless advocacy, her creativity, and her commitment to social justice, to Alyssa for her work at the clinic, and to all the former and current clinic students. And you can honor the work of the clinic and Denise by making a generous donation to Casa. And thank you again to Casa for this award.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so, so much. I'm so incredibly honored to be recognized this year, along with my colleague, the co-director of the Immigration Clinic, Alessa Steglich, and our clinic by Casa Marianella. And it's particularly just emotional to have Barbara introduce me. Usually I get to give Barbara honors and awards. I usually get to do the introductions. And so it just is really emotional for me to be here today receiving this award. Thank you so, so much. This really is a particularly special award to me because there is no doubt that this is a mutual admiration society. I think you got a flavor of that from Barbara. I'm grateful for the respect and honor that Casa Marianella bestows, and I can assure all of you that the respect and admiration and gratefulness that I feel towards Casa Marianella is at least as strong. We have received help from Casa on so many cases, helping people to get out of detention, helping to push certain matters forward. Casa sort of never really seems to say no when we need help. It's kind of incredible. It's kind of miraculous, like the loaves and the fish. We have, called literally on our way back from an immigration court hearing where we've won an asylum case and the person has been detained throughout their entire case. And we all of a sudden realize that this person is going to be released today and they have no place to go. And we call up Casa Marianella on the car ride back with the students, and somehow a bed appears and that person is received into Casa Marianella with great grace. Similarly, we have used the help of Casa many, many times to get people out of detention, as Barbara mentioned, before their asylum hearings go forward so that they have a real chance, a legitimate opportunity to present their claims in immigration court. I know, for example, one of Alyssa's very first clients at the immigration clinic when she came to Austin to work with me was a client at the Hutto Detention Center who was detained for a very long period of time and who finally, due to Alyssa's strong advocacy, was able to be released. And away she went to Casa and stayed for a very long time there, becoming an important part of the community at Casa. And it's not just these individual matters where this collaboration takes place. It really also is a type of collaboration that takes on the big systemic issues that we're seeing in migration in Texas and especially from Latin America, but as we've described from all around the world. So for example, when family detention started up in Texas again in earnest in 2014, in August of 2014, and the Carnes Family Detention Center was filled up by ICE with women and children. But with Barbara and with the clinic, began to try to think about ways to advocate, to challenge the family detention practice. And the very first thing that we did was work on the very first couple of cases at that facility at a time when ICE really seemed to think that the families were going to remain detained there throughout their entire cases or be deported very promptly. And we got in the way and went into court and got bond hearings and got those clients out with the help of Casa being willing to serve as a sponsor. And I'll never forget that first set of cases, one that I argued where the client was going to Casa and got out without any bond required at all, which was very unusual because the government was arguing that these families were national security risks. And we went and got the call from ICE saying, okay, well, your client is getting out of detention, but you have to come get them. They had no plan in place for where anybody was going to go, how they were going to be picked up. So Barbara and I took the van that we had just taken students down to view immigration court hearings, and we found some car seats, I don't know where from, and put them in the van and drove down to Carnes and got these two women and their two very young toddlers and brought them back to Austin to stay at Casa, where they were greeted with incredible warmth. Similarly, at the Hutto facility, as Barbara has mentioned, it's not just that we get out individual clients, but for years we've really been fighting, pushing to challenge the very fact of detention at Hutto, not just how long people are detained or the conditions they're detained in. And CASA has been critical in that fight because CASA shows that there is a different model. And that's really what I want to leave us with, is that there could and should be a different way of handling asylum seekers, handling immigration cases. And I think the collaboration between the UT Immigration Clinic and CASA shows what could happen if we just set it up so that families were released, migrants were released to go live either with relatives or in shelters like CASA, and had the assistance of a legal team operating together with social service providers and those who can take them to their court hearings and provide the information and the basic assistance they need, the connections to services that will allow them the opportunity to present their cases and to become meaningful, valuable, strong members of our community. So I really want to thank CASA for honoring that collaboration, the work that we do together, and that vision of what things could be. Thank you so, so much.
Hi, everybody. My name is John Weisenbaum, and I'm the other co-board president along with Gilbert Kadia. About a year and a half ago, we realized that we needed a short professional video that we could use to show people what CASA is all about. One that we could use for our website and social media and for speaking events to new audiences. We were very fortunate to connect with Ray Barrera and Ken Bodden of Working Dads Media, who generously donated the entire production of the video we're about to show you. Both of them are here with us tonight virtually, and we're so grateful for their work. The video features a man named Tekla Mezgebi, who is a former CASA resident from Eritrea and who is now a member of the CASA Board of Directors. Tekla continues to be a vocal advocate on behalf of refugees and asylum seekers, especially those in Eritrea and Ethiopia, whose situation right now is quite dire due to the brutal conflict underway there. So without further ado, here's the video.
I was prisoned when I was in Eritrea because of my political situations. In Eritrea, there is no freedom of speech. There is no freedom of beliefs. There is no freedom of movement. There is no freedom of travel from place to place. When I arrived in the United States, I was detained for almost 10 months.
Tekla came to us like everybody did, having been in detention for 10 months, where the conditions are very difficult. He wasn't able to see the sunshine for many hours of the day. Food was inadequate. People were crowded, and everyone in detention is feeling very hopeless and scared.
Many people in detention are talking about Casa Marianella, and many people are saying it's helpful to go to Casa Marianella if you don't have family.
Casa Marianella is a shelter for people who come to the border of the United States seeking safety, and those people are seeking asylum in the United States. Our mission is to welcome people and provide food and shelter while also helping people gain self-sufficiency so that they can be successful on their own.
When I came to Casa Marianella, they start hugging me, they start treating me very well, and they were happy.
I think one of the most important things that CASA provides is a community, because when people arrive, it's not just the staff that are here, but there is a community of people from all over the world that are here, and they're all going through the exact same thing, and they support one another, and frankly, they are the most hospitable.
I felt family, you know. I was feeling that I came to my family.
So in addition to food and shelter, we also provide English classes and legal services. We have an acupuncture clinic. We have a benefits clinic to help people get health insurance. We provide case management for each individual, and we have a bike program to help people get transportation.
We are learning how to prepare for the future. I am preparing for life, for next life, and I am learning how to live.
A year ago, when COVID came to Austin, in the course of a couple of weeks, all of the Posada Esperanza clients, both in shelter and those who had moved out of shelter, lost their jobs. All of the women who had been working in hotel and restaurant jobs, some cleaning offices or gyms, were fired. Everyone was out of work at once. While the staff figured out how to create social distancing at our shelter houses, we also created a new system of providing case management to over 40 families who had moved out of Posada in the last couple of years, and 125 individuals who had recently moved out of our adult shelter. Before COVID, they had been managing some self-sufficiency, but unemployment left them at risk of homelessness and hunger. Staff began helping clients apply for unemployment and rent assistance. A team of staff and volunteers came together to deliver food and diapers to clients' apartments. Many of you here tonight, along with public and private grants, helped provide funds so that we could pay the rents of these households. If it weren't for this teamwork and generosity, all of these families would be homeless or facing insurmountable debt. Instead, today, they are housed without debt and beginning to get back to work. Casa Marianella was created out of a community effort, and every step of the way has thrived due to community participation. Nearly everyone on this call has lent a hand in large or small ways to make sure that Casa Marianella could always be there for the people who need it. It's a big part of why this event feels important, to show that the heart of Casa Marianella appreciates everyone's help and acknowledge with gratitude that this work is a true community effort. Jorge Huerta is a beloved volunteer who carried Casa Marianella in his heart in all of his endeavors. Tonight, we'd like to make a special appreciation of the Jorge Huerta Award of Outstanding Volunteer Service to some of our volunteers who have made our homes for immigrants to be functioning, beautiful places to live. Our first award winners are David and Octavia Norris, who have brought toolboxes and interior design to remodel the bedrooms at Posada Esperanza, turning the rooms from plain and simple to a gorgeous welcome on a family's journey. Thank you, David and Octavia, for your gifts of beauty and dignity. Our next award winners are Matthew Halveston and Andrew Gates. Matthew volunteered to develop the architectural plans for the building of a house behind one of our properties that we call Mini Salam. And Andrew volunteered to be the contractor for the construction of the house. He recruited all the subs, oversaw all the work, saved us money whenever he could. The result of their efforts is a beautiful little shelter home that we have been using very heavily this year as a quarantine space for new shelter arrivals. An essential part of the community support at Casa Marianella is offered by the guests themselves. At our family program, Posada Esperanza, families come to us asking for help, but nearly immediately, they are the ones offering assistance to others. Women take care of each other's children, connect each other with jobs, teach each other the bus. And when families move out of shelter, they continue to return with donations or knowledge of resources to share. During the freeze, families with power took in families that were cold, and families with cars drove food and water to families without. I'd like to tell you about a Posada resident who has now joined our board of directors. A few years ago, a mom came to Posada with triplet infants. We thought we would be in awe of the extent of need this family would have. But instead, we quickly were in awe of how much this family had to offer the Posada Esperanza community. The mom brought a natural wisdom, maturity, and peace with her. She helped clients and staff navigate situations and brought a smile and laugh to many moments. This mom, Amina, has continued to bring her strength of character to Posada Esperanza as she now serves on our board of directors. I'm excited to introduce you to Amina as she is happy to share with you tonight a bit about herself and her journey.
Thank you, Patty. Oh my God. I promised myself to not be emotional tonight. My name is Amina. I am a proud mom who cares about community issues and in diverse areas. I am from Congo. Congo is one of the countries in Africa. Um, I came here for different reasons in 2016, leaving 2 kids behind me and my husband. And it was difficult for me to arrive here, but just right there, the next day I had my triplet. I was pregnant, and by the time I think I was 28 weeks pregnant, and the next day I had the triplet without knowing anyone here in Austin or in America, without knowing anyone. So the hospital was able to give me the first help that I needed. And my kids, all of them stayed in the NICU for few days, like a lot of days. And one of them stayed there for more than 5 months. So during that time, I did not have any place to live. I did not have anywhere to go. So they were able to connect me with Casa Marianella. And once I got approved, I was living in Posada. I lived there for about 8 months, 6 to 8 months. And right there, when I reached that place, I feel really home. I feel family. Everyone was nice with me. I was able to connect with many people there, most of them, and they gave me all the need that I needed. They supported my family with shelters and legal services through America Gateways. They connected me to different organizations. They gave me access to healthcare and transportation, food, and so more, everything that I needed that moment. And Casa Marianella helped me also to connect with different other organizations as American Gateways, where I met one of the incredible lawyer, Michelle. I don't know if she's on the call. And AFSA, Foundation Community, and Austin Community College. The time that I spent there at Posada was, I can reflect again today, is like exactly what I needed at that moment. And the support that I received from this organization really changed my life. Like they supported me the way that I couldn't even imagine that here we can have that kind of organization. And after that, I was involved with different organizations. I mentioned Austin Community, where I study, and I am currently, ACC gave me the opportunity to study and work. Right now, I'm working in the business department as an accountant technician. And I consider myself as a proof of that when you have the right support, you can change lives. When you have the right support in the right moment, you can change lives. And I'm sure one of you here, you are connected because you have interest, because the mission that Casa Marianella have, it's part of something that you defend. And I am a proof live that you guys are making a big difference with supporting and continue to support Casa Marianella. So I want to thank all of you for your support and being here. It means so much for us. As Patty was mentioning, last year I was nominated part of the board of director for Casa Marianella. I'm so privileged to be part of it, and I love the mission, and I'll continue to give everything that I can, my time, to continue to support. So thank you, all of you, and I wish you all of you a great evening. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I just want to be sure everyone can hear me because I didn't check my audio. Yes, okay, thanks. My name's Letty Bueno, and I'm a former board member, and I'm really happy and excited to be here with you all. I have a little confession. I'm fighting every urge to say me siento muy excited just to be here today because I'm kind of, pulling on Selena. But anyway, I first came to know Casa Marianella through my work at a local church at St. Catherine's. And I brought students from that area to work a service day with Casa, and that's where I met Jennifer. We chatted for a bit, me not fully realizing who I was in the presence of and all those years ago. And after a while, she asked if I was interested in serving on Casa's board of directors, or would I want to learn a little bit more? Well, excitedly, I said yes. And I went on to serve on this board for 6 years. And my time with the board ended back in 2014. But the way I support Casa didn't end there. I support Casa Marianella because I truly believe in their mission and the people that they serve. I see compassionate care. I hear of the incredible support that they give, and the fierce advocacy for the residents of Casa and Posada is truly inspiring. They are groundbreakers in what and how they do their work. And they've been like that for the past 35 years. And as all of us come out of one of the most difficult years of our lives, we can take comfort in knowing that Casa continued to be a refuge for many. They didn't close. They were always there, always a light in the darkness. They were always offering hope. And as you heard earlier, more than a year ago, Casa announced their intentions to build 2 large houses and increase Casa's bed space. And now those plans are continuing, now with permits in hand. That's a monumental feat. And the goal was always there. Not even COVID could stop Casa. And in order to engage in this new endeavor, we still need to raise some money towards the houses. We can start this build without any debt, and in order to be there, it has to be about $200,000. And here's a chance also to buy a house in Austin with Casa. We all know how hard that can be. So I love no organization more than I love Casa. And I know that we're all here because of the mutual love and admiration that we have for them. And I invite you to help us move the mission into their next 35 years. Supporting Casa as a monthly donor is the best thing I know to do. I'm passionate about monthly giving because I feel like it's one of the most sustainable ways for Casa to build upon their mission and to continue to serve so many in the incredible and authentic way that they do. So I invite you to join me as a monthly donor, but we also welcome your one-time donation. We're not going to turn those away. Every little bit helps. This is a partnership. This is a community. Casa can only continue to do this work with you walking alongside. So I thank you so much for helping to welcome asylum seekers and all the folks that are providing them with the life-saving support that they desperately need to start a new life in the US, for being the welcoming voice and comfort to so many. Thank you for being with us today and for your constant and generous support of Casa Marianella.
Thanks, Letty. And hello, everybody. Once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the staff and volunteers of Casa Marianella and Posada Esperanza for their incredible dedication and hard work on behalf of immigrants here in our community. I'd also like to thank my fellow Casa board members, particularly those who served on the planning committee for this very unique event. And finally, I'd like to thank, on behalf of the board, each one of you who are attending with us tonight for being part of the Casa Marianella community. Whether this is your first Wendler dinner or your 16th, we're happy to have you with us, and we hope it won't be your last. And we hope next time that we see you, it'll be in person. But before we finish this main part of our evening, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen next. Right now is our last time all together in one big virtual room. Just as in our normal annual dinner, where we're grouped at various tables, each with a table host, as soon as I finish speaking, we'll put everyone into a smaller breakout room or virtual table. There, your table host will be able to facilitate a smaller, more informal conversation where you'll have the chance to share your thoughts and get to know the other folks at your table. You can spend as much or as little time as you wish in your small group. We've got up to 45 minutes allotted on the Zoom, but feel free to leave at any point you'd like to. So in closing, thanks again for coming and sharing your presence with us tonight, and have a great conversation at your table. Good night, and we'll break you out now.